You're listening to Little Birdie podcast. I'm your host, Nick Heathcote, joined by Sammy Jane Todd. Sammy, how are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
You are looking fresh, and OB is back. He was so good last week. First up, he's straight on and in the guts, and we're going to talk all of AFL for the final series. He's going to join us for the rest of the AFL season. OB, welcome.
Scooty and Sammy, thanks for having me back. Yeah, hopefully I can... a good second up performance.
Yeah, well, would expect that. Would expect nothing less. You were hard nut to crack last week. So anyone just tuning in for the first time, OB works in operations at AFL, and he loves a bet, and he's famous for telling jokes in his old role at St Kilda Football Club. Have you got a joke for us off the bat today?
No, nothing today. We'll keep it straight down the line. It was more at the Ormond Footy Club, but it was always did play a little bit of the Joker at the Saints just to lift the mood a little bit.
Well, surely you've got a couple of weeks, so maybe next week, can you promise one of your best gags?
Oh, look, it won't be one of my best, but I'll promise a gag next week. No worries at all.
Okay, so it's finals week. It feels like an eternity since we've seen some AFL. I am so hungry. I've been watching so much of the block lately. I need AFL action. I've done my penance with the remote, and Thursday night shapes as an absolute belter with Port Adelaide and the Cats, and our men have been spot on with the market. It's been like $1.90 into $1.73, and you were quite impressed, OB. You were surprised that the boys have got the market right.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at the start, especially when there was a lot of money for Geelong early on. But I just think Port over there in Adelaide. A little bit of the worry is who's going to play on Hawkins. The word is that Cleary might not play. He did kick 6 on Cleary last time, Hawkins. So, and then obviously it's Jonas will go to Hawkins, and then who takes Dangerfield when he's forward? Is that Mackenzie or Burton or someone like that? That could be a little bit of an issue, but I just like what Port are doing. Charlie Dixon and their smalls at his feet, all going well.
It's going to be some great matches. So we've got Cam Dean. He's going to talk Port, Cats, and Brisbane and the Tigers, and then Dowson will talk the elimination finals with West Coast Collingwood and Saints Bulldogs. NRL, it's finals week. There's lots happening. Nick Tedeschi, he's a coach killer, really. Kevin Walters at the Broncos. We'll hear what Top Rope Tedeschi has to say about that. What do you reckon, Sammy?
Name a more influential guy in NRL than our man Tedeschi. He has a crystal ball.
I'd like to see what his thoughts are about Darius Boyd's gender reveal at the end of the game on the weekend. That just reeked of desperation from the Broncos.
So it's finals week 1. We've got Penrith versus the Roosters and Storm Eels in the qualifiers. The eliminations are Raiders, Sharks, and then Rabbits and the Knights. The Rabbits are on fire. And then racing, Group 1 racing, Randwick and Flemington. We got Dream Team Matt back. He was on fire last week. He just went bang, bang, bang and couldn't miss.
Anything drop into the DMs there, Sammy, over the week?
T-Swizzle?
It's consistent.
Sounds like stalking. We've got DK. He's going to talk a quick preview on the Flemington card. It's Group 1 Turnbull. So this is sort of when the carnivals start to change. All the focus has been on Sydney, and now it gets into the serious end of the business with Flemington. And wow, Peter V'landys just opened the borders magically for horses to move freely both areas. So we're not surprised. But up first, we're going to talk French Open tennis, and our man Ace Preview, Stephen Quick, will talk to us now. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you very much for having me, team.
Now, if you want to follow this guy's action on Twitter, it's at Ace Previews. He's the best I can find in tennis betting. Now, you're all over it last time we spoke to you at the US Open. Now, the betting is really, really interesting for the outrights here, the men's. We've got, looking at the top sport market, it's around $2.50 Nadal, and Djokovic is $2.70. Steve, why is the Joker, someone who's just smashed a tennis ball into an official, so short?
Look, I think he's been, although he's probably still a little frustrated as to what happened in New York, his draw here is unbelievable in comparison to some of the other favourites here. Look, we've got Djokovic, Nadal and Dominic Thiem at the top of the market there. We've got Thiem and Nadal sitting on one side that will have to meet each other in the semi-final. But when you look at Novak's draw, it is possibly one of the best draws I've seen for a top seed in years.
Wow. Is it enough for you to have a little nibble, or you already have? You're already on him?
Already on him. So I was on Djokovic was my main pick for the tournament based on that draw. And look, if you're wanting to look for something a little bit bigger, maybe a Diego Schwartzman or someone, I just don't see any value in Nadal at his price in these heavier conditions. And Dominic Thiem has probably got the toughest draw of anyone, and he looks to be looks to be a little bit under. And, if you're looking, I guess, from an outright perspective, it might even be better to take team at each individual match along the way and kind of build yourself a little bit of a multi there, like I think you guys may have suggested for the AFL finals last week.
Yeah, we're prone to doing that. And looking at the men's matches for the next couple of days, is there a little bit of a bank builder, a couple of matches that you like to play in?
Oh, it's really tricky in terms of, still getting a bit of, still getting used to the conditions. It's obviously very heavy there over in France, and we don't normally see tennis in September, October. If I had to go for one, looking at the men's side of things, there's the likes of Matteo Berrettini, who should be too good for Lloyd Harris. He's one that stands out, and
look, I'd be 7.5 point line there.
Yeah, so that one looks, I'm not big on Berrettini overall in terms of his outright chances, but I think that looks to be a pretty favourable matchup for him. But look, I'd be expecting a couple of the big names who had some close calls in round one to bounce back, like Stefanos Tsitsipas against Pablo Cuevas as well. So they're probably two to keep an eye on the men's. And look, Novak should continue on his merry way against Berankis.
Yeah, I nearly fell off my chair when I saw them all rugged up in the jackets and the blazers and stuff. It was like you're playing tennis in the snow. It's remarkable scenes. The world may be ending.
My kind of tennis tournament.
Not getting too hot. Now, looking at the women's tournament, we've got Halep around the $3 mark, Magoza $8, Azarenka similar quote, Kvitova $15. Which way are you thinking with the women's?
From the start of the tournament, I've been pretty keen on Halep. I mean, she skipped the US Open and is focused entirely on the clay swing here. She's going to be incredibly hard to beat. So she's probably looking, maybe a slight value price at what she's sitting at the moment in the market. If you're looking for some bigger prices, Elena Rybakina and Elise Mertens are probably two that stand out at their respective quotes at the moment. And if you want to be a little bit dramatic, you could go out as far as looking at a Yulia Putintseva in the triple figures, or Iga Swiatek, who looked very, very good in round one and knocked off last year's runner-up Vondrousova in about 70 minutes.
We love grand final day. Like when I'm betting on racehorses, and a couple of guys have mentioned it on similar episodes. We love when a player or a team is set for that. So I like the way that Halep's thinking. What about a bank builder for the next couple of days? Is there any women's matches that stand out for the next couple of days, Steve?
Yeah, look, I don't know if I'd refer to it as a bank builder, but someone who stood out based on their round one performance was, she's a former champion here, Yelena Ostapenko. She's copped a bit of a bad rap over the last couple of years because she is quite erratic, but she took, it was a dominant performance in round one against Madison Brengle, and 46 of her 73 points won for the match were clean winners. And looking at Karolina Pliskova, she wasn't great in round one and looked to be struggling with the conditions a little bit. So I think she's actually capable of a bit of an upset here. But one that's probably a little bit safer is actually one of the mums in the draw, Patricia Maria Tig, who's minus 3.5 games against Christina McHale at the moment. She looks like she's primed for a good fortnight here, coming off a title in Istanbul a couple of weeks ago.
Sammy, what odds are we looking for a couple of these tips?
So Ostapenko is at $2.45 in the win against Pliskova, who's $1.55. Obviously, there's some lines available for you as well. Patricia Maria Tig is $1.50 against the American Christina McHale at $2.58.
It's going to be a big, big tournament, and we'll hear more of Steve on next week's show. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Perfect. Thanks very much for having me.
If you're as excited as I am for this week's sports and racing, make sure you head to topsport.com.au. They are the biggest betting online bookmaker, taking on absolutely everyone, never rejecting a bet, and their betting limits are the biggest around Australia. Make sure you are staking responsibly for your financial circumstances, and call Gamblers Helpline on 1-800-858-858 if you're concerned.
Up next, we're going to talk AFL with Ian Dowson and Cam Dean. Welcome back to Little Birdie. It's time to talk AFL, and I always get a little bit happy when I hear the Dawson's Creek music. I love talking to Dowso about AFL, and it's all business this week. We'll call the bad beat of the week Rothfire. He did a big sesamoid injury. I think he had a fracture, and he was hemorrhaged off the map. He was like evens into $1.65 or $1.70. So Rothfire can be this week's bad beat, but it's AFL week one, and Dowso is very hungry to talk AFL.
I am. I actually watched that race. I don't really watch the races, but with no AFL on the weekend, I tuned into that one, and I had a little piece of Rothfire too, based on the show last week. So maybe that was the bad beat. But look, guys, very excited for AFL. That week off really whets the appetite, and I'm frothing for some AFL this weekend. So yeah, we got Pies West Coast. What do we market update there, Sammy? What do we got the Pies in the West Coast?
Well, West Coast is giving away 13.5 points here. They're the favourites at $1.43, and Collingwood is $2.90.
Dowso, what's your read?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? The Pies, the last time they actually beat someone in the top 8 was July 16. So that seems like a long time ago, and that was against the Cats. They're only averaging 57 points a game. They got smashed by the West Coast the last time they went over there. Pies look to get back main, which I do think just hardens them up a little bit and gives them a bit more defensive pressure. The West Coast have limped to the finish line. I actually think they've been pretty poor towards the end of the season. However, it does look like they get back McGovern, they get back Shuey, Redden, Jetta, Hutchings, Cripps, and it looks like Kennedy is going to be okay as well. So they are massive ins, and I guess with Kennedy pulling up well, that's important for them as well. The Eagles, 7 out of 7 at Optus Stadium this year. But as I said, I haven't been overly impressed with the Eagles this year. I've probably been one person's been prepared to sort of lay them all year. Their standout performance was in this game, in the game against Collingwood earlier in the year, where they absolutely thrashed them. But they got the Pies at their most vulnerable. So and it was a long time ago, so I don't really put too much into that. Look, the Eagles look really slick when they're up and going. But I think up against a working-class midfield like the Pies, and led by Grundy and Adams, Treloar, Pendles, Elliott, Main, Co., I think they might have a midfield that can, at the very least, challenge West Coast, and I think they're a little bit tougher as well. The two backlines, I feel, are both really elite. So their backlines are very good, which could see a game sort of happening between the arcs. But I think the biggest difference in the game is the forward lines. The Pies have struggled to score for a long time, and the connection inside 50 is poor. And, of course, that doesn't get any easier against the West Coast. I do feel, though, this might be... you know who Rick Barry is, guys? Have you ever heard of Rick Barry?
Not news to me.
No.
Rick Barry is the pioneer of the underhand free throw in the NBA, and I do feel if Collingwood want to win this game, they have to shoot like Rick Barry. They have to be prepared to do something different than what they've done before. So what I mean by that, if they don't have a clear option inside 50, I want to see rugby league style bombs to the fullback. I want to see. I'm being serious. I want to see like torpedoes just
kamikaze footy.
Yeah. I think the Pies have to do something completely different. Otherwise, it's the Barras, McGovern show all over, and they struggle to score. And the Pies have got good guys down at ground level with DeGoey, Stevenson, Elliott, Varco, etc., to take advantage of West Coast being a poor ground ball team. So I really think they have to do something different. The blueprint's there. Round 5, 2019, Port Adelaide went over to West Coast as a pretty decent underdog. Did exactly that, surged the ball forward, smashed them by 42 points on their own home deck. So if Buckley's got the confidence and the kahunas to do something different, I think that the Pies can win. But if they just do the same old, then I think the Pies probably score less than 50, and I think West Coast probably score 10 points more than that, so 45-55. So I have West Coast winning just.
What do you think about that? The underhanded throw, I was thinking about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs there. He was on fire the other day, but what do you think about this, OP? Dowso's just come out with all these stats and all this information. What do you think about the Collingwood squad? He's spoken a lot about how Collingwood have been poor since July. Collingwood seem like they've got a stronger team now, though, don't they?
Absolutely. DeGoey's back makes a huge difference and sort of shores them up a little bit in their front half. You know, you've got Cox is playing a lot better at the moment. Then that takes a little bit of emphasis off Myercheck, and then DeGoey can do his own thing. I think Shepherd will go to DeGoey, which sort of eliminates that. Shepherd's a very good defender. Stevenson, I'd definitely have to play him. He just gives something different. He can get out the back and he's got speed. So I agree with Dowson. You have to try something different. But the big one for me is probably Hutchins coming in. Everyone's talking about Shuey, McGovern, Cripps, Redden, Kennedy playing as well. But Hutchins, he just makes their midfield a stronger.
Yep.
So I think he'll go to Adams, not Pendlebury. I think Adams has been in better form, and Pendlebury will probably go head-to-head with Shuey or someone like that. But he's the one for me that sort of shores them up a lot, gives their midfield a lot more defensive capabilities, so Shuey and these guys can get on the fly with Nat Nui's forward hits. So, look, I can't make a case for Collingwood. I think it's all West Coast. I actually think West Coast are the team outside the top four that can
win it.
They can win it.
Yep.
Especially with, if whoever they play, they're going to play in Brisbane, which is going to be neutral territory.
But they haven't been good over there, have they?
They haven't, but they showed in the second time in the hub. They got it right. They got it a little bit better, and I think their language changed as well. Simpson went in there with a lot more positive vibe second time round in the hub. So, I really like West Coast. I think with those players back in, and they'll be better for the run. I think they'll account for Collingwood quite easily, and I can see them challenging in week 2.
Wow, so OB he sounds like he wants to be on the -13.5. Dowso, any little bit of total action or head-to-head, how would you play from a betting perspective on this match?
I lean the Pies. I actually make the line a little bit less than what it is. But in saying that, I'm always cautious when it comes to line betting in finals. The head-to-head, I do think West Coast are going to win. So, I'm just going to have a pass on that one. But my lean is to the Pies line.
And the weather, I've had a look at the bomb, and the weather's not going to save either side. So it's going to be a dry, fast deck, I would have thought. Maybe a little bit of dew, but no rain on the radar. Now, let's look at the other match. Western Bulldogs St Kilda. We might get the market first with you, SJT.
No problem. So the Bulldogs are the favourites. They're $1.78 and they've got a line of -3.5. You can back the Saints, though, if you like, at $2.09.
And the slightly...
On a bit of the roll, the Doggies, 5 out of the last 6, and we've seen a bit of happy handball in the last couple of weeks from the Dogs, which is a bit of a signature from their premiership win. So a few people are getting a bit excited about, are the Dogs back? Is this 2016 all again? They got Hunter back in form, which is good, and it looks like Wallace and Norton are going to play, so that's obviously important. And I think Vandermeer's been a good young player. He might be up for selection as well. So they're pretty much full strength. I think they missed Toby McLean, but I think that's pretty much about it for the Dogs. So they're pretty. They've got their whole list to choose from. The Saints in their last 6 are 3-3 and 2-2 in their last 4. So you might say coming into it, their form's a little bit up and down and perhaps not quite as good. Loney looks like he's going to get through, and Jones will come back in, which is big. Look, I think the Doggies midfield has got a bit more star power, but I don't think you can sleep on the Saints midfield. Steele, Clark, Ross, Jones, they're all hard-nosed players, and I think they should at least level the contest with the Doggies midfields. I like the Saints backline with Carlisle, Howard, Caulfield, and the skipper. Some bit of talk he might play a defensive role up the other end on Joe Hannison, but I still think he's important for him. I don't like the Dogs forward line. That's probably the one thing that I'm not convinced on. I think in a big final, I'm not necessarily sure you can rely on Wallace to kick a big one, and Norton is going to be sore, and that pretty much leaves Big Brucey to be doing the damage for you, and I'm not a believer in Josh Bruce, so I'm a bit concerned about the Dogs forward line. At the other end, I love the Saints forward line, so I think the Saints forward line is really dangerous. They've got King, Memory, Butler, Battle, Marshall, and they've got a lot of weapons down there with Billings and so forth, so they're just got to make sure that they play English smart when he's dropping back. But otherwise, I think the Saints can kick a score. So as long as they can halve that midfield battle, I actually like the Saints in this one.
OB, there's a lot of noddies. There's lots of noddies going on. A little bit of frontline noddy action.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that you can't rely on. Wallace has kicked 24 goals in 17 games. You can't rely on him in a final. Norton's kicked 14 goals in 11 games. He's actually kicked 9 goals in 10 games. He had a bag of 5. Bruce has kicked 13 goals in 16 games and a bag of 6. He's kicked 7 goals in 15 games. And then King's kicked 20, Butler 27, Membry 18. Marshall 13, Billings 11, Steele 10, Loney 11. I just think they've got more firepower.
Yeah.
So if they can break even in the middle, I think Ross will go to Bontempelli. Liberatore will go to Steele, which I think's a win for the Saints. Ross does really well playing on someone. I just can't see the Bulldogs kicking enough goals for mine. And I think the Saints are in good form, as good a form. I know that their form line doesn't suggest that coming in, but they're 3 and 4 against top 8 sides, and the Bulldogs are 1 and 6. So I'm all for the Saints here. I can't get enough of them.
Sounds like I might have to save a bet this week on the Saints just to pay for the shame in case I have to play around a golf with the strides off. I can't say I'm looking forward to that if lightning does strike. Dowso, your analysis has been brilliant this week, and we'll get you on next week for more
No worries.
more in-depth Dowso.
Thanks very much, guys. Looking forward to the finals.
Thanks, Dows. Up next, we've got Cam Dean, and he's going to talk qualifying finals. Welcome to the show, Cam.
Hello, guys. How are we?
Fantastic. You must have the crystal ball shiny as OB's melon. Port Adelaide, $1.90 into $1.73. Geelong out the gate, $2 to $2.12, and the Lions now 4.5. How do you do it, son?
I think I said they'd get to $1.77. They got to $1.73. They've gone slightly past it. And it's good that we've got Thursday night football. I think that week off, I actually really enjoyed it. I heard Jared Waitley saying during the week, and I do love Jared, I heard him say that the week off for the AFL first week of the finals, he said there's nothing good about it if you can tell me one good thing about it. And I think one good thing is that we get all the good players back. And if you look at these two teams, there's not even a single player on the injury list anymore.
Tom Lynch?
And across all the games, there's hardly a good player out. Tom Lynch is one I can think of. And, West Coast have got maybe Jeremy McGovern that might struggle to get back, but most teams are really, really fit. So, I think that's the really good thing about the pre-finals bye.
He's super positive, Cam. You must just sprinkle it on his cornflakes every morning after a surf. I absolutely love it. So why will Port Adelaide win the game? Just to recap quickly, we've already tipped them. We've spoken about it last week. Why have they got the edge over the Cats, you think, quickly?
Funny you say that. Well, they haven't really got the edge over the Cats. The Cats smashed them last time they played, but I'm hoping that's a one-off anomaly. I think that just a big home ground advantage. At Adelaide Oval, they've got a home crowd. Geelong have to travel. They've been playing really good football. They've been consistent all season. They're well balanced around the field. They've got a key power forward. And Geelong have a lot of those weapons too. And don't get me wrong, it's quite a close game. But I just think they're slight favourites in this matchup.
And OB's on that same bandwagon too. He likes Charlie Dixon, forward line functioning.
And Travis Boak. I think he's very underrated.
True.
Ollie Wines is playing a lot better. So, if they can just control Dangerfield and Hawkins, I think it goes a long way for them winning the game.
Yeah.
And looking at the other match, I spoke about Tom Lynch being out. The market there, Sammy, Tigers Lions.
Yeah, so the Tigers are the favourites here. They're 3.5 point favourites. You can back them at $1.74. Brisbane Lions, $2.10. The over-under is 118.5 points.
Cam?
Yeah, there has been a bit of money for Brisbane with the news that Lynch won't play. And as I think I spoke about this last week, like Richmond, they don't have that many stars. Duffy is obviously a star. And in 2017, they built a premiership around him and then just having their foot soldiers just all playing their part. And I think they're doing that a bit again this year. They're just all play well together. They do those little tap-ons, play amazing as a team. But I just think here with Brisbane, with the home crowd and the way they've been playing, I just think that I have to be on Brisbane, so I'm leaning to Brisbane here.
OB?
Yeah, I'm with you, Cam. Yeah, I think the ruck battle is going to be important. I think big Oscar McInerney and Steph Martin up against Nan Curvis is going to be huge for that battle, and probably Chol as well will chime in for Richmond. But look, Andrews will play. Jared Berry will be back. Archie down back has found his best form. I'm all for Brisbane in this one.
Now, Cam, you love finding an angle. Most finals disposals for the series, you found a little error. We love it.
Yeah, so I look when I do these markets, I look at how many games a team is in for in the finals. So, like I've done the maths on it and found out that Richmond's in for the most games. They're in for 2.84 games and so on. But West Coast are fifth in line for the most amount of games. But West Coast price to make the grand final is $7. So if they make the grand final, then they will have played 4 games, and anyone that has the most disposals for West Coast will get the most disposals in the final. So then I look through the West Coast players, and I come down and I see Tim Kelly at 50-1.
Wow.
So I don't think there's any... If I think they're a $7 shot to make the grand final, there's no way he's a $51 shot to get the most disposals in the final. So I go, bang, I think that's a bet. And then the other one I looked at here as I said, I think Richmond are in for the most games in the finals, and Dusty is 20-1. And I think that he's a bit of a boom or bust. He could play forward with Lynch being out, but he had 28 disposals in the last game of the round of the season. And I think that if he plays midfield the whole time, he's just a final specialist, and they play 3 or 4 games. He's not a 20-1 shot to win the most disposals in the finals.
They're at the AFL 2020 futures markets. You can find most disposals. And the other interesting market there is the Gary Ayres medal too, for the best player in the final series. Yeah, and what I do, again, there, I sort of look at what percentage of votes I think the players are in for. So I'll give you an example here, because he's the one I like. So I think Dusty's in for like 40% of Richmond's votes in the Gary Ayres medal. That's how dominant he is. And then I go and look at what price they are to win the grand final. So if you go at the premiership winner, they're 320. So you multiply the 320 by the 250, and you come up with a price for Dusty. But then there's also a chance he wins it in a losing side. So then that shortens the price again. So I think Top Sport are now in 650. I think that was bigger earlier in the week, but I think if you shop around, there is a bigger price around there, and I quite like someone like Dusty to win the Gary Ayres medal. Can you just tell us the top of the market, the Gary Ayres medal there, Sammy?
Yeah, so you got Lockie Neal at $5, Dusty Martin at $6.50, Patrick Dangerfield at $11, Travis Boak at $12, and then you're out to sort of $16 with Robbie Gray.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, as much as I like Lockie Neal, and I think he's had a good season, I can't have Lockie Neal shorter than Dusty Martin in the Gary Ayres medal.
Yeah, a couple of years ago when Richmond last won the grand final, he was an absolute gift to win the Norm Smith Dusty, so he's definitely a player that you can trust for the final series. So Cam...
And $8 to take out the Norm Smith.
Yeah, it's big price. So Port Adelaide for Cam and Brisbane, and we'll get you back next week. Enjoy the footy, Cam. I know you'll watch every second.
Thanks, guys.
Now, Sammy, there's an interesting bit of movement in the presidential market, the US presidential market. We've got your man Trumpy, who hasn't been paying his fair share of tax, or he's got a bloody good accountant. And then you got Sleepy Joe Biden, who's been alleged to, or Trump's trying to, he wants him drug tested or something like that. Sleepy Joe, he calls him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he'd be under, well, I'm not going to go there.
Under the influence of something in some other realm.
Surely, I mean, he's 80-something, isn't he?
He needs some sort of spinnaker.
Anyway, he and Trump are going head-to-head today for the first of the sort of presidential elections. Trump's currently $2.10. Joe Biden is $1.73. I think Trump is going to firm off the back of this debate.
Betting with the heart.
Put a bit of Trump tax money on
it. Because Joe Biden can barely string a sentence together. Trump is extremely well versed. He's been debating all of his life. He's
been on TV.
Yeah, precisely. He's very persuasive. So I think if you're after like a little bit of something that's going to go off in price, I'd be backing Trump to firm after this debate. Wow. And I think there's a couple more debates coming up, so I think he'll probably continue to firm. If he walks all over him in this one, which I'm expecting, he'll just keep tumbling in.
Oh, I love when Savvy gets excited about Donald Trump. Now, something else to get excited about before we go to a break is Top Sport's $2 lines.
How good is it? There's absolutely zero margin in it for the bookie. They're offering $2 lines on all your AFL lines there. So you can bet to win up to $200 with them. So just head over to Top Sport and take advantage of the offer. Make sure that you're staking responsibly for your situation. If you're worried about yourself or a loved one, call Gamblers Helpline on 1-800-858-858.
Up next, we're going to talk NRL with top right Tedeschi. We'll be back soon.
Welcome back to Little Birdie. It's now time for the segment you've been waiting for. It is Hall of Fame. Welcome, Nick Tedeschi.
Thanks very much for having me back. What a treat.
Now, it's NRL finals. Your little engine would be humming along. You're very, very excited. But let's talk Hall of Fame first. It's been a big couple of weeks. We've had the Magic Man, Moreira, Benny Arn, the Wolf, Jamal Murray, Seabold. A bit happening at Broncos land. Who you got this week?
We're going to go with South Sydney winger Alex Johnston. He was one of the pre-season favourites to be top try scorer this year. Looked absolutely no hope going into Friday night. Kyle Felt had swept to the front on the back of a hat-trick on Thursday night to get to 18 tries. Johnston 14 tries. Now, I'll just say no one scored 6 tries in a game since 1935. So 6 tries is not common. Well, he didn't need 6, he only needed 5, and he got it.
Wow.
He got it. He scored 5 tries, including one where he was passed the ball over the line to ensure he got the record. So amazing stuff. If you back Kyle Felt, you are absolutely sick to your guts right now. But Alex Johnson did one for favourite punters, and well played to him.
It's a little, it's a double up in it, Hall of Fame into a bad beat. Now, everything's happening, or it seems to be happening in NRL, as usual. Peter V'landys has opened the borders for the horsies to move freely. There's lots of stuff happening in the racing. I'm still not sure how he's managing both roles. But one of the big stories is Kevin Walters to coach the Broncos. Surely that's a positive, Top Rope. You get the rubber stamp.
Well, I will say this: he's a good bloke. He's a good bloke. They've chosen a better bloke than Seabold, so well done to the Broncos.
Whack.
He can't necessarily coach. I'll tell you what, like I going for the popular, going for the popular bloke, I don't think it's necessarily the way to go. And they've acceded to the old boys. They've given them what they wanted, and I think they've given them just enough rope to hang themselves on.
What happened? Was there no other option, or just a bad job?
Top Rope Tedeschi in a little private chat rope said to me, he said, mate, it's like they've gone to a horse sales. There's a few horses there, and they've found the 3-legged horse in Kevin Walters.
Look, he's a lovely 3-legged horse. He'll be very popular. They'll like that 3-legged horse. But he has, this guy has more seconds than Tom Melbourne when it comes to job interviews. Like this guy, he missed out on the Broncos job twice before. He's done second at the West Tigers, the Gold Coast, the Cowboys. He's coached in Queensland. He's never coached at club level. I'm not entirely sure he's renowned as one of the good rugby league brains. They had Paul Green available, who won a premiership with the Cowboys in 2015. He was the other one in contention for the job. And they overlooked him to take the easy option out, and I think they've taken a very, very poor option. So hard decisions need to be made of the Broncos.
Could he just be keeping the seat? Could he be keeping the seat warm for 12 months before bellyache goes up there?
Well, that's the interesting thing with all this, right? So it's pretty clear that Craig Bellamy's headed north. Supposedly under the guise of a coaching director job. But if they get him as a coaching director, then the Kevin Walters hire doesn't become so bad, because Kevy will do absolutely nothing in 2 years, and then Bellyache might get the hunger back in the belly, so to speak, to start coaching properly again. So if they can combine those two, it's not as bad as first thought. But I still don't know that Craig Bellamy is over the line at the Broncos. I would say the most likely scenarios with Craig Bellamy is that he will become the Storm coaching director, and we'll do that remotely from up north, I would say.
It's a weird world. Who's had the worst year, Mitchell Pearce or Anthony Seibold?
Mitchell Pearce has been pretty ordinary on the field. But, I'm struggling to think of anyone who's had a worse year ever than Anthony Seibold. That's as bad as it gets.
Maybe Victoria.
Yeah, still too soon.
Dan Andrews might be the one who's running him close.
He might do an Alex Johnson and just hit the line storm from an impossible position. Now, if you want to catch up with any of that latest gossip, makingthenut.com is probably one of the best belly aches written by Nick Tedeschi weekly. It's fantastic content. Now, let's look forward. It's positive stuff here. We've got week 1 of finals, and you guys are straight into it. AFL had a little bit of a breather, and we've had to get our appetite and love for the game back, but the NRL is marching full steam ahead. And Friday night, Sammy, Penrith Panthers versus the Roosters. Betting, please. Yeah,
well, Penrith's firmed slightly in the betting. The line's gone from -1.5 to -2 in favour of Penrith. They're $1.77. Roosters are $2.08.
Top rope.
It certainly won't surprise you, Sammy, that I'm against Penrith here. looking at some of my season bets, I've been against Penrith for a long time, and it's been a very expensive exercise this year. So I'm siding against them again, but I have been wrong about 98% of the time this year. So take that with a word of caution. Roosters were horrible last week, but not well. I wouldn't say they weren't trying. I think they were definitely trying, but it wasn't the worst result for them to lose to South. and team is off a big flogging, tend to bounce back a lot. The Roosters are 17-5 against the line off a double-digit loss under Trent Robinson. So I think they will go well. I think their experience will serve them well in the finals. So in a low-scoring game, I think the Roosters are the value there.
Wow, humbling, he calls it, when you lose to the Souths. What was the margin?
52 points.
Yeah, humbling. Sure.
Now, skipping on to the next one on Saturday, Canberra Raiders versus Cronulla Sharks. Sammy, odds?
Raiders are the short price favourites here. They're $1.20. The line is 13.5. Cronulla Sharks are $4.60 with a totals points of 42.5.
Top rep.
Sharks played the Raiders last week. Sharks opened 11.5-point outsiders. Raiders rested all their players. Started 4.5-point favourites and managed to lose the game. So any of us, including me, who got the $3.60, will never forgive the Sharks after last week. Absolute disgrace. Raiders by the length of the straight, minus 13.5. A very good bet this week. Raiders full strength. Raiders have scored 34 plus in 6 of their last 9. The Sharks, they've conceded at least 34 points in 4 of their last 5 against top 8 opponents. The Sharks are one of the worst teams to ever play finals football. This will be a trouncing.
And then Saturday, the 4th, love of your life, plays the Parramatta Eels. I say 4th because you've got PVL first, you've got NRL Canterbury. Oh, it's actually probably the missus and your kid. And then you got Melbourne Storm. Sammy?
It's a real photo finish there.
$1.20, Melbourne Storm, $4.60 in the line.
Well, Saturday night you'll be tuning in to the Storm. So they are playing, they're paying $1.20 to win. The line's 13.5 points. They're playing the Parramatta Eels, of course, at $4.60.
Big price, Parramatta, $4.60.
No, I'll be on the Storm. I think the Storm at the short tour. We'll get the job done. Big favourites have a good record first week of the finals. Storm have absolutely destroyed the Eels their last few meetings, aside from when they rested players earlier this year. Beat them in the finals 32-0 last year. The Storm don't concede many points, full stop, but are particularly good in the finals. The Eels, their attack is all over the shop at the moment. So I think the Storm will win this pretty comfortably. Wouldn't be jumping into any total, but I think the best bet is the Parramatta Eels under 11.5 points team total at $1.90. I can't see the Eels scoring too many there.
And then Sunday afternoon, Sammy's Rabbits.
So the Rabbitohs, of course, have firmed slightly again after last week's performance. So they've gone from minus 7.5 to minus 8.5. You can back them head-to-head at $1.32, and Newcastle Knights are $3.40.
I could predict this, but I'll let you say it. Top rope.
Yeah, I'll be on the Bunnies minus 8.5. I think the money's right, this one. Probably the least confident player of the week, but South are sizzling at the moment, and Newcastle are just shot. They've got a lot of injuries this year. It's been a long year. I can't see them really bouncing back in this one, so I'll be happy to take the Bunnies minus.
Huge. And a special mention to the New Zealand Warriors. They've kept the competition absolutely going, and what a remarkable effort for them just to play away and all the sacrifice they've put on the line for the NRL.
Yeah, it really has been an absolutely stellar effort from the Warriors as a club and the players there. And sticking around as long as they allow the competition to go on. So tremendous effort. And they didn't just turn up. They won plenty of games. They finished 10th on the ladder, put a big score on last week. So I think
should galvanise them for next year.
Yeah, look, I think they're in a good spot for next year. Hopefully they can turn it around because they're likely going to have to spend the entire year over here next year as well. So it's going to be a long 2021, but kudos to the club.
And Nick, just a quick one. Darius Boyd gender reveal. What was the boy paying?
I'll tell you what. I was stunned that robot wasn't the answer that came out there. Like it was absolutely. If one thing has summed up a career better than Darius Boyd doing a gender reveal on the day of the wooden spoon, I haven't seen it. Perfect fit.
I would have thought they'd be quite unfashionable at the moment, given the fires in America at the moment from those gender reveals. Whew, wow.
I'll tell you what. The Broncos fans are so furious. I'm surprised that it didn't cause a few fires up in Brisbane after that one either.
I'm not surprised. It's been one of those seasons for the Broncos. Thanks, Top Rope. We'll get you next week.
See you guys.
Sammy, if you're betting this week, you're betting with...
Oh, Top Sport, obviously. They're betting $2 lines. You can't get any better than that. To win up to $200, you make sure that you go to topsport.com.au to check out that special. If you're concerned about yourself or a loved one, please call the Gamblers Helpline on 1-800-858-858.
Up next, we're going to talk racing at Royal Randwick with Matty Taylor, Dream Team Matt from Racing Rant, and DK is going to have a quick look at Flemington.
Welcome back to Little Birdie. It's Sammy and the boys, and we are about to talk racing with Dream Team Matt.
Welcome to the show, Matt.
It's good to be back. Thanks, Sammy, Luke, and Scoot. How you guys going?
Yeah, we're fantastic. We're not as flush as you. Love Tap, Russian Camelot, and a bit unlucky with Rothfire broken down, but I think you signalled that Ollie Kirk was a potential danger, so you might have saved there. But even OB, he's not the biggest racing man, but he sends me a message when Love Tap goes over the line, "Oh, Scooty, are you on?" So he's absolutely had a fill up. We're converting this AFL Nuffy into a racing head.
Oh, so good. Who needs the wages, OB, when you can just follow the tips?
That's right. Follow the form.
Exactly. Now
he did send me a tip as well, a message as well, so that was good to hear, OB.
Now, Group 1 racing at Randwick this week. The barrier draws are out. We'll do the Metrop first. Who do you like?
Okay. Yeah. Look, tricky race with all the sort of the favourite coming from the Newcastle Cup in Mogatu. So, yeah, look, Mogatu's an obvious one. Horse is flying. I don't know. I'm struggling to get my head around the Newcastle Cup form being the right form this year. So, yeah, I don't know. Mogatu, a little bit too obvious for mine. So, yeah, look, I am actually going to stick from the same race as the Newcastle Cup winner. Path of Glory, its name is. It's a bit rough. What price have you got it there, Sammy, with your good folks? About $31. There we go.
Spot on.
Path of Glory. So, look, sat outside lead the entire trip at the Newcastle Cup. And look, I just think up in trip, and the Freedman's, Richard Freedman is doing a great job. So, I think steer away from the favourite a little bit. The great chance, obviously, Mogatu, but let's go for a bit more value in Paths of Glory. You could obviously have a Mogatu as well, but I just can't take $3.30 about a Newcastle Cup winner in the Group 1.
Yeah, and the horse that I said to follow a couple of weeks ago, Shared Ambition, pops up here, and if he goes to this race, I think he's dual nominated, 53.5 kilos, J-Max $7. That gets my motor running. Now, looking at the...
really well backed as well in the all-in markets. It was just a little bit when it's on the drift a little now since that's drawn the car park, essentially, barrier 19.
Yeah, I trust James McDonald. He'll find a way. He'll find a way. Now, looking at the Group 1 Epsom, Matty Taylor.
Yes, okay. Well, we're going to go not quite as wide as my last tip, but I like Funstar. Funstar comes through the Theo marks, and I think it's been pretty well backed, sort of its first 2 runs this prep, and it's been a bit, left the punters a bit disappointed, but faith in Chris Waller, third up into the Group 1, probably the grand final, has good form around Probabile last preparation, beat Probabile a couple or once at least, in a good run. Glen Boss again, barrier 19, look, it's tricky, but, don't really worry about it in big fields at Randwick. I'm with Funstar, and then the next horse maybe have something on is Rock, who comes through the Cameron. Mm-hmm. Both horses are right down the bottom in weights, massive 4-length winner, coming through the grades, I think, and just perfectly placed preparation-wise. So, yeah, Sammy, was it about $12? Was it Funstar?
Funstar, yes, it is. So $11 out to $12. It's about as good a price as you can get in the market at the moment. Same with Rock from $8.50 out to $9.
Little Dutch action there for Matt Taylor, who is on fire. Thanks for joining us, Matt. Good luck on the weekend.
No problems. Absolutely. See you guys.
Up next, we've got Dan Kelly, and we'll talk Group 1 Flemington action and the Turnbull Stakes. Welcome to the show, DK.
Hey, Scoot. Hey, Sammy. Hey, OB. Glad to be here.
Mate, big racing this Saturday at the Turnbull Stakes at Flemington. The fields are just out. Who are the big chances that you're going to work around for this one?
Yeah, I think it's. I'm going to work around probably the pointy, the top few chances. I think, Scoot. I've had a quick look. I think Things Will Dream and Finch, they ran the Quinella last year, but I think it's a stronger addition. So this year, Very Elegant was the favourite to pre-barrier draw. I just saw. She's drawn 9, so she's a bit of a run-on type anyway. She's in well at the set weights and penalties race, so she's in quite well there. But I think she's better in stronger run races. She was in a strong run race first up and won, was in a slowly run race second up and got beat, albeit with not much luck. I'm not sure she'd probably prefer something like Trap for Fools was in this race to run them along. So just at the short odds, I was probably looking around her. I probably won't be backing her. Next is Master of Wine. He's one I do like. He's in well at the weights, and he's got a lot on the line. This is a qualifying race for the Cups, and he's third favourite at the moment for the Caulfield Cup, but he's 31th in order, so he needs to qualify. He's going to peak here third up. He's drawn 4. He's going to get the perfect run. He's had the run at Flemington last start, so I'm really warming to his corner. Surprise Baby, as he's in there. He's
drawn awkwardly.
He'll
be about 4 or 5 pairs back, won't he? He'll be in the coffin.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, but he's a momentum horse too. You saw how Craig had to get him out and wind him up first up, and he's already qualified for the Cup, so he doesn't have as much on the line here. So I was probably happy to work around him at his price point in the market. The other one I'm interested in is King of Leogrants. He's the fresh legs into this. He needs to qualify for the Melbourne Cup. This is his mission. This is his lead-up run. He emphatically won the Adelaide Cup. He's got a heap of talent. Danny O'Brien's the new premier trainer of stays in the state. He is drawn. I've just seen the barrier draw. He has drawn 14. I think that's tempered me a bit, but he won't be going around without me having something on him. So
Master of Wine and King of Leogrants.
Yeah, Master of Wine and King of Leogrants, mate. Yeah, they're the two I'm working around. Yeah.
Now, DK, you do some of your best work out wide, a little bit like Matt Taylor. Now, who's just been on the show, you like one at Geelong early to get your money and get your bank ready for Saturday. Steer us into a winner at Geelong.
Geelong, race 1. Race 1, Geelong tomorrow is a distance maiden. I don't mind the old distance maidens. And there is a Danny O'Brien, Damien Oliver first starter, who I do respect, but it's doing a big distance rise. That's Kenzan. I like number 10, Volatile Stock. I've been following this horse. I had something on him the last start, I think it was, and he ran well. He's shaping. He's had the distance range run under its belt. There's another 2 horses there, Tango Gold and Sweet Gold in the market. I'm sick of them. They've had their chances. So
backing the second favourite then.
Yeah, so I think Volatile Stocks, he's going to be about 4 to 1 or something. Sammy, is it? I think in the market something like that, or 3 to 1. $4.20. Yeah, so
with Top Sport.
I think everyone will warm. They love the Damien Oliver, Danny O'Brien combination. So that'll be well fancied. I think we'll get a decent price, Volatile Stock, and I think it can run a real race.
Perfect, DK. Spring is starting to heat up, and we're going to hear a lot more of you. We'll talk to you next week.
On your scoot. Thanks, Sammy. So good.
Thank you.
Thanks, DK. And, Sammy, when you're doing the form, well, I know when I'm doing the form is puntingform.com.au, and now that we've converted you as a bit of a racing fan, OB, you might have to get a punting form account.
I'll have to show you how to use it, but it's pretty straightforward. It helps all punters take your punting to the next level. It breaks down everything in really easy to understand formats, so you can look at all the sectionals and get yourself some inside information into who's going to win.
Looking at times and sectional database analysis. Now, the favourite part of the show, I thought Dowson was really, really good. Before we wrap up, what was your highlight for the show?
Well, I'm going to definitely back Volatile Stock tomorrow at Geelong. I'm on that. But, I think the Hall of Fame, Alex Johnson, someone passing the ball from over the try line just to take away the top try scorer from Kyle Phelps. That was my highlight.
Yeah, that was a big effort. Sammy?
I have to back Nick Tedeschi in it here as well. He gets me so excited about NRL. I've actually started watching. I'm really into it now. I'm frothing for this next game. So Nick Tedeschi all day, every day. That's my favourite part.
That's a wrap from us from Little Birdie Podcast. We'll catch you next week. If you want to follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel or go at Little Birdie Pod on Twitter and you'll find us there. Catch you next week.